I completely hear what you're saying, and that's excellent advice. Um,
Dan, I don't know what you're about to say, but the way you're phrasing the beginning of your sentence is lawyer.
no, I
You've just
agree.
lawyered up the beginning of that whole sentence.
No, I was going to make a joke and say that I really didn't lose many cases. I really did win a lot of my cases, but where I was going with it really was to say that the media like CNBC is a real problem. I think they do a disservice to the trading or investing community because there's so much bad information out there. And actually, one of my closest friends told me, why are you even listening to the news? By the time it becomes news, somebody already traded on it, made money off of it. So don't listen to the news anymore. And even a lot of people just say, just turn it off. Don't even bother listening to CNBC.
CNBC is catering to investors. It's not catering to traders. And there's a huge differentiation between the two. So even when, their analysts are getting on there, they're telling you what they're getting into for their portfolio. This is long-term holds. These are not, I made a trade today on NVIDIA, or I made a trade today on Intel, or I made a trade today on Microsoft. That they're not trading. So right. Recognizing the difference and what you're looking at, whether you're looking at fundamental information, whether you're looking at technical information, and then determining what that resource does for your particular trade is important. So it's not even comparing apples to apples, right?
Well, you absolutely, you hit on a very big point, and that is the difference between technical analysis and the fundamentals. I mean, you can have a company that's fundamentally very sound and solid with a lot of money, but if the technicals are telling you that the stock's going down, then the stock's going to go down. And I think United Healthcare is a perfect example of that. I made the mistake of loading up on United Healthcare options when I heard them say on CNBC that they were reporting earnings and it was such a great company. And then the stock tanked and I lost thousands. But different point.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to, I'm sure Jeremy even touched on it in the psychology courses that you listen to. And it's the same reason why we try to not have FOMO part of our plans. And I think that's why the plan is so important too. But otherwise, every time a candle looks like it's about to break out, we're excited to jump in. We want to be a part of the rally with everybody else. Yeah. But the psychology, even of the CNBC example, I mean, they're coming out saying, "Oh yes, this company looks great. They should do very well on earnings." And even if they do have good earnings report, right? As soon as they put it on CNBC, everybody who's half paying attention to markets, they're like, now is the time to get in. Smart money, they all got in prior, right? As soon as the actual news broke, as soon as they were building up for months at a time, and then the news hits, they're the ones now selling, and all the new guys are jumping in, right? And a lot of times it's not really a pump and dump, but it works in the very similar way.
Well, I learned that Jim Cramer told his investing club 2 days prior to my buying the options in United Healthcare that they should all unload it for whatever reason. That's not really fair.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree. Yeah, it's CNBC. It's a tricky beast.
The same thing with Disney, right? When Disney didn't come out with good earnings, and Jim Cramer was all over CNBC saying that the CEO should be fired. Legitimately said he should be fired. And next thing you know, the old CEO is coming back, and the new ones, or the old. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. There's a change of guard at Disney.
I honestly believe that the media creates two stories, one positive, one negative spin, and depending on what the market did that day, that's the news that they throw out. That's my opinion. So I want to know when some news is coming out, just so that I can expect something to happen, because we have algos and all sorts of stuff that are going to react to those news events.
Right.
But I don't trade the news. I don't pay attention to the news. I don't think that it serves you as a trader. That's my opinion. But
I think your opinion's dead on.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So aside from your trading plan and your trading journal, which you now have homework to do, is there anything else that you think you kind of need some immediate attention on right now?
Honestly speaking, it would be fantastic if there were, how do I say this? Maloney was outstanding yesterday, teaching us how to use the what's it called? Eight cap.
Eight cap. Yep.
But for whatever reason, I have something wrong with my 8 cap and my watch list isn't showing up in the right spot. And when I called 8 cap, they wouldn't help because I'm not a customer yet. Anyway, so some sort of technical support with 8 cap would be phenomenal. And then, of course, yeah. Anyway, I have got some studying to do.
Now, I understand. So you have a funded account, or you're getting a funded account with Real Life Trading?
I have a funded, my account's not funded yet. I have a prop account. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But I also heard you.
I applied for an account and I've been trading in it.
Okay. And I also heard you say you have an account with Apex. Is that correct?
I just signed up for an Apex account today, specifically for purposes of trading Forex. And I don't know if I should or should not have done that.
Are you a scalper?
Yeah, I like to scalp.
Okay. Then you should be fine with Apex, because Apex is designed for scalpers. That's what I found. So
to be honest with you, the trades that I've made on futures in the account through RLT has all been scalps, pretty much.
Okay. Is there a particular setup that you're using for scalps, or is that just is that due to a lack of patience when you're trading?
It's due to a lack of knowledge, I think.
Okay.
I, at least with the trading of the Qs, for example, is it the NDX 100? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Okay. For futures.
That's what I was trading.
Okay. Because are you actually doing a scalping strategy, or are you just getting into a trade and as soon as it gets up so far, you're just exiting, so they happen to be really short trades?
The latter.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, sorry,
yeah,
Dan.
I don't think I don't personally think there's anything wrong with scalping, but I would say it has to be consistent scalping too. So I would still have. I still love the longer term trades. Let them play out. Let the movement happen. But I think there's a place in the market for scalps, and I do scalp on occasion here and there. But they're all. I know exactly still what I'm risking on the trades. I still know why I'm getting into the scalp, why I'm scalping as opposed to just maybe a full on trade, something like that. So I don't personally, and every trader is different as far as their style. And I mean, if you love scalping because that's you, make sure your plan is also based around there, and make sure that you could back trade that strategy, which I know you said you're not as familiar with TradingView yet, but in there's a back trading program that you could hit, and you could pick a random day that the market was open and go candle by candle and just practice the art of scalping. And again, even though it's not real trades, journal those trades as well. That's going to be very important for what time of day those things happen. And you're going to see okay, if I do scalp, I'm able to grab an extra 5 hours a month, right? And I can do it consistently. I've proven that I can. And just implementing things like that. But yeah, I don't have a personal problem with scalping, but I do like the good trade. But it's the same thing as trading. You just have to know why, about how many shares, all that stuff to make it work.
Honestly, I think that long term, I'd be better off focusing on stocks and figuring out how to identify a good play on a stock, like Johnny Guarco did today when he identified NVIDIA as the double bottom, and we were able to go in there and purchase that, and it was a peaceful transaction. It was a peaceful trade. I entered the order. I knew what my stop loss was supposed to be. I knew what my exit was going to be. The only thing that would make it better is if there was some sort of a trailing stop in the 8 cap account, but I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, because it's an important distinction between a scalper who scalps because that's their intent, they planned to scalp, and someone who is just exiting trades early because of fear. And that's why I was asking you those questions. So yes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with scalping at all as a strategy. It's a great strategy. There's lots of scalpers out there, and there's some great strategies out there. But what I'm hearing from you is that you're not actually going out to deliberately scalp. You're facing fear and exiting trades early. And that's something that needs to be addressed, because if you can't get through that, you'll never be able to hold those trades like what Johnny Guarco found with a double bottom on NVIDIA. You'll always be hitting that one spot. I heard Dan the other day say that if you can't if you can't hold past 1R, you're never going to hold past 2R. And if you always exit at 1R, you're never going to get to 2R, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was in a video I was watching of you, Dan, just the other day. I heard you say that again. So
I think one of my fears was blowing up the account, frankly. I didn't want to have too many losses. So, when I was trading the NDX today, if it had ever gone negative, and then I saw it go positive, I would take the gain, even if it was $10.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want to tally up the losses.
Okay.
Anyway.
So fear.
I've got a lot of looking to do. Sorry.
Yeah, no, there's lots of fear that you're dealing with. And that's I think one of the issues is you're tied to that bank account that's sitting inside of your head that's continually tallying what your previous losses are. And you're doing a check and balance to see whether or not you're positive or negative. And that needs to get dealt with. Is there any way that you can work on your mentality to be able to just start fresh, put that other money aside, pretend it was a loan to somebody and you're just never going to see it again? That's really the frame of mind that you need to get into.
I somewhat feel as though I should stop trading with my actual TD Ameritrade account and just focus on trading in the 8-cap account with stocks and just getting, somebody said, a good 21 consistent winning trades until my mentality changes, I think.
I will agree with you completely, but I'll take it a step further and say that I don't think you should be trading at all until you get a trading plan sorted out and you get used to a trading journal, and then you back trade that trading plan so that you understand it. And back trading requires you actually go back and test some trades without money on the line. So just actually go through the process to make sure that you even understand what you're doing. And
Tracy, I think what would be helpful, because I think I haven't seen anybody use the journal better than you. And I think even for when I was trying to understand what the journal was and what for instance, when I went to elementary school, I would be in school taking notes, or high school. I would take notes all the time, and I would never go back and read them. I would just be like, yeah, okay, I got it. I was there for class. I understand. And there's so much information you could get from the journal. And the one thing that I don't think we talk about enough is, and I think this would be helpful for anybody listening, Dan as well, just kind of what you look for in your journal and why, because that I think highlights better than I've ever heard from anybody the importance of the journal and how to now use that information to trade.
So what I find important in the journal,
for what you look for in your, because you break your journal, and I don't think anybody has to go as detailed, but I also don't think it hurts.
Yeah, because in my journal, I keep track of the date. I keep track of where I'm trading. So whether I break it into morning, afternoon, or Globex session for the futures. So that's the overnight session. I break down what the ticker is, or what the whatever the label is. I break down what strategy I'm using, where my entry, where my exit is, any partials that I take, any notes. But then I also have built into my journal a way of accumulating the statistics for all of that. So I know what strategy works, what tickers are working, how much I've made on each ticker, with what strategy I can sort through all of that information, plus my charts. Now, the reason that I do all of that is because it allows me to be able to go back to my trades and say, okay, this strategy works really well for me. This strategy doesn't. As you mentioned earlier, Dan, what time of day works best for me? Should I be trading, here, there, everywhere, whatever, or should I not be trading on specific days? So there's a variety of information that you can really learn about yourself. Have you ever gone to, do you golf at all by chance?
No.
No? Do you play any sports?
I've golfed before, but I don't golf well.
Okay. Have you taken any sports lessons or taken any lessons from somebody?
I actually took lessons for golf. Yes.
Okay. Well, when you go and you do a golf swing and your instructor gives you feedback, that helps you improve your swing. The journal is the same thing as a coach, but not a person. It's able to give you feedback if you know what you're looking for. So with my journal, I also have what my average loss is, what my average gain is. And in addition to that, when I use it for back trading, I'm able to back trade a specific system. And that gives me what my monthly average expectation is. How many losses in a row I would expect to have based on statistics of going through month after month and doing that same process. That allows me to set my mind into the right place with expectations. Okay. Mm-hmm. And especially like, is there a strategy that you've learned so far with RLT that you really like?
Honestly, there's so much information that's come at me from real life trading that I couldn't even begin to just pinpoint one. I mean, there are so many. I love the 10 EMA. However, I haven't even gotten to the point where I could get TradingView and figure out how to set up a chart to show me the 10 EMA. Okay. That's a brilliant one.
Okay.
But I got to show you. I take copious notes of Jeremy every night and everybody who's on, frankly speaking.
No, I think that's great. The notes are awesome. The problem is getting to know you and you understanding what your tendencies are and then dealing with those issues. Yeah. First of all, the TradingView thing, jump on to our YouTube channel. We have a TradingView YouTube playlist that has tons of tutorials on how to use TradingView. There's lots of them out there. And like I said, our channel has tons of those videos. So that's a starting place for that. As far as the 10 EMA strategy is concerned, I think that's a great strategy for you to start with. What you would do is then take that 10 EMA strategy, build your trading plan around that, come up with some rules, and there's already a trading plan on our website for that, so you can follow that particular strategy. But then you go in and you back trade, so you're looking for those particular trades. You log the ones that you take, and then from there, in your journal, you would have, say, a month, 2 months, 3 months worth of data that you can then go back and say, okay, well, the average monthly gain by doing the 10 EMA strategy got me, say, 6.5 hours a month. Okay, that puts things into perspective for you. So now when you go into live trading and you hit, 4 hours or 3 hours, even though you back traded and you knew you could get 6.5 hours, there's something there that's wrong. So now we can start to look at what's happening with your live trading versus what was happening with your back trading. The other thing is if you are all of a sudden making 10 hours or 12 hours, you've done something really well and you've tweaked it, or the market has actually changed and is starting to work a little bit better with that particular system. So that's a good thing, right? But if you have the expectation every month that I want to make 30 hours, but you're trading a system like the 10 EMA, and you found that when you trade it, you consistently make about 6.5 hours a month, you can see how that perspective might be off. And that expectation can lead to over trading, taking bad trades, doing things that you wouldn't normally do because you're going after that unrealistic expected R. Okay? This is all some of the things that a trading journal can help with just by logging that information. And, I program my journal to have a whole whack of information because I love data, but it doesn't need to be that much. You can handwrite it if you want. If that's more your style, write those notes. I used to do the same thing. I had a notebook beside my computer every day. I would write down what I was thinking, why was I taking the trade, what was the reasons that I was seeing at the time, and I still dated it. That way I could go back later and I could revisit it and practice it over and over and over again and see if there was something that I missed, something that I could see differently, and go from there. Because every trade that you take has the opportunity to teach you something. It's either going to teach you the muscle memory of a correct trade. So going over winning trades over and over and over again, you're building that muscle memory so that the next time you take that swing, it'll feel right. Or you can learn something from it because it was a mistake. What did you miss? What do I need to see differently? How can I improve? Right?
Okay. I will absolutely positively start using a journal,
Okay.
and create a trading plan. I can't commit the 10 EMA will be the only strategy that I use.
That's fine. But
Does
any
that really-
strategy that you do implement,
Okay.
you need to practice it.
Okay.
Okay. And you need to
Do I
write.
just pick one? Can I not have more than one strategy?
Okay. You can have more than one strategy, but I would highly recommend any new trader focus on one.
Okay.
Okay. Do you remember when you learned how to drive?
Yes.
Do you remember how cognizant you were of the gas pedal, the brake pedal? I don't know if you learned how to drive on a stick, if you were cognizant of that. Even when you look in the mirrors or you shoulder checked, there's things that would follow, your hands would follow, or it just was so exhausting because you were looking at everything. Now, I'm sure that when you drive, there's times where you don't even remember driving through that leg of road.
Right.
It's just so natural now. Okay, it's no different than with trading. If you bog yourself down with a whole bunch of systems, that's like learning to drive on an Indy track.
Okay. Can gaps be a trading strategy?
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Yep.
That one seems easier than the 10 EMA. Gap and goes.
The 10 EMA is there's a lot of rules that will help develop the patience to get into trades because you're waiting a little bit usually for those trades to play out.
Okay.
The gap and go, the gaps, the retest gaps, they might blend to you a little bit better in the beginning just because you're used to that kind of momentum trade from the beginning. If you could identify who's being trapped and who's not, that might identify with you, and the gaps are great for those early morning trades as well. So again, we're only on this for an hour. We can't go through everything, but if I would say for identifying, like Tracy said, identify something, but narrow it down to something very specific. And I think I've heard Jeremy say this a lot too, but nobody actually makes money from trading, right? All the money that comes is from the hours and hours of back trading, all the work that you put in before that setup even develops, finding out what your style is, how you trade it, spending the amount of time, hours on back trading, on TradingView, understanding, okay, I'm looking for the same setup over and over again. I know how it's supposed to play out. I know how to move stops based on that. And that's where your money comes in, from all the work there. Otherwise, during the live market, yeah, you might get some money from a trade, but you're just waking up, the market's open and you hit the buttons. It's all that preemptive work that you put in prior. That's what you're getting paid on.
Dan?
That's the difference.
Yes. Which one?
Are you a trial lawyer by chance? Do you go to trial at all? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So give me a ratio. How much time do you spend preparing for a trial versus being in trial?
You spend more time prepping.
Would it be 5-1, 3-1, 4-1, 10-1? Take a guess. On average.
Depends on who gets murdered.
So let's go with 2-1.
2-1? All right.
Maybe 3. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for so long.
Okay. So, could you imagine what your trials would be like if you didn't prepare, or if you only spent like a 1-to-1? Like, the point that I'm trying to make here is that in everything, even with a house, when you're building a house, the preparation, the stuff that you start at the beginning, every step of the way, the more you prepare, the more you do it, the easier it gets to do. And, for that very final little bit, most people don't even recognize all of the preparation and work that went into building a house, right? And same with your trial. Nobody really recognizes how much effort and work went into preparing for the trial. Okay?
Yeah.
Your trading's no different. You want success, you need to prepare, and you need to spend that time learning and developing that skill and prepping for your day, right?
Yep.
Okay, working on you.
Gotcha.
All right.
Cool. I would say, since we have you on, Dan, it's your opportunity. You could ask me and Tracy anything.
Did you guys ever blow out accounts?
What was that?
Have we ever blown out an account?
Oh, blown out an account. I would love to lie and say no, but yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Keep in mind, Dan, I'm here on this side of things now. I wasn't here. This is why I do what I do, because I was on the other side. A lot of times when people tell me stories, like in my head, I'm like, yeah, I was there. I did that. Like, but it's the journey, right? And I've definitely had accounts early in my trading career where I was piecing together candles, what they mean, And then eventually something clicks and I'm like, oh, okay. If I use the hammer like this in this type of setup, it works better. Right. So I've blown it up with options when I was real young. I was with a prop trading firm at one point, blew that account. I've blown options account before, and I'd be making $17,000 in an hour and a half, and then the next 2 days I'd give it all back plus some, and it was just all over the place. And until you really understand what you're doing, and there's a certain point where you don't need $17,000 a day to be consistently to have success. In fact, the people that hit a GameStop trade or AMC trade, where are they now? A lot of them, the lucky ones, held on. They took out some money if it was just a lucky hit, and they bought a house or real estate or something like that. Others go, oh, this is so easy, and that's the problem, right? Then they're back in. They haven't really put the education, the time, the back trading. And once I really figured out what a risk unit was and how to predetermine what risk is, then I took a step back from the scalping as much, where I was almost full scalp. I was like, man, this trade's about to break. And based on what I was looking at, yeah, it would break, but I would never get out in time. I'd be holding my losses too long. I'd be holding my wins too short. And the equation was flipped, right? And for me, once I got more affiliated with RLT and I started to understand how everything I've pieced together over the years, how things could actually work together and how to now apply risk to it, and learn that it's more important to be consistent than it is to win on a single trade. Right?
So I'm sorry, I have to say this. And the one thing I absolutely love about the real life trading community is how nice everybody is. Legitimately, every single one of the people that have been on the air the past 2 weeks have been amazingly nice. But not only are those people nice, but the people that the customers like myself are nice as well. I just put on my glasses to read all these chats because the chats have been coming through the whole time and I couldn't see. And there's one from, I believe it's from Woodshed, who basically says, if you have a chance to come out to Vegas, coming out to Vegas, there's a lot of people that'd be more than happy to help you out. And as a matter of fact, I was seriously wanting to go to Vegas because I have the time off to go, and I might just go. So we'll see.
That's great. That's great. And do you want me to answer your question too?
Sure.
Okay. People that have listened to this show before know that I have not blown out an account before. Okay. However, I was very lucky to find RLT at a very early stage, and I learned how to control risk very early in my trading career. So that was one of my advantages. The problem is that I could control risk too much, and I was too defensive. So it became very difficult for me to win, because when you're too defensive, you may not lose, but you don't necessarily win. You have to give it some breathing room, and there's a good check and balance between how much is too much. That being said, even though I haven't blown out an account, I have lost more money than I've wanted to lose. So I may have had some soft account sizes in my head saying, well, I'm going to trade, but I don't want to lose more than this, or I don't want to lose more than that. And I've definitely lost more than that at one point or another. So I've not blown out an account, but I do know what it feels like to hit those limits inside of your own head.
I only asked that question because I didn't really have a good question to ask you guys.
Fair enough.
Actually, you know what? I love that question because I've seen other YouTube gurus and all these people that are taking random trades online and stuff like that, and nobody ever talks about their losses, right?
Yeah.
You can ask any of us, and we'll just be straight honest. Like, yeah, it happens. Nobody likes to do it, but I think it actually helped me on my journey a lot more than it didn't, right? Just to know what it feels like to blow out an account and how to build back an account and then go slow and then take your time. That helped me probably. I've made more money because I've blown up accounts than I did on actually blowing up the accounts, right? In the longer journey of things.
So Dan, we are out of time, but I want to just say one thing. You have two things to do. Okay. You have to do your trade journal and you have to do your trading plan. Now, I don't want to just leave you here. I want to make sure that we follow up with you. So your job is going to be to do those two things. And I want you to take a screenshot of your trading journal. And I'd like you to send your trading plan to either Dan or myself. So you can send it to dan@reallifetrading.com or tracy@reallifetrading.com. That's the follow-up. All right. So we've given you the time today. That's your work. we'd like to follow up with you and make sure that you've actually done what you are setting out to do and help you get onto the journey that you want to get onto. Okay?
Great. Thank you.
All right. And thank you so much for joining the show.
I have appreciated this so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we see you all the time in the chat. You're always active. I think that's one of another, you talked about the community a lot. I couldn't agree more. I mean, the community itself is a superpower. I mean,
amazing.
To be able to throw ideas off of people and get the positivity on a down day is incredible. But as always, if you have any questions, reach out to me and Tracy as well. And we appreciate you taking the hot seat for us and coming on.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, you guys. Take care.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Yep.